When morning came, with the slight throbbing pain between my legs, I was sure that I truly had gone back in time and did something terrible. I lost my virginity last night, on my wedding night, not on the day I was supposed to conceive Henry, 4 months from now. And the worst part is how I'm supposed to spend the day pretending nothing happened now, during the second day of the traditional 2-day Houghton family wedding. When the conservatory doors opened with a soft click, I found myself surrounded by the artificial beauty of the party and had nowhere to escape, having to face an event that should celebrate love, but for me, it was just another empty and exhausting display. The white columns and floral arrangements scattered throughout try to add beauty to the setting, but they can't hide the emptiness of the moment. And even the lightness of the chiffon of my second wedding dress can soothe the heaviness in my chest. I recognize familiar faces among the guests, but most of them are important contacts of Grandpa Marshall. They approach me with fake smiles, offering greetings that sound as shallow as the echo of my footsteps. Well, I think I'll just step away. Charlotte, dear. I hear a familiar voice that makes me stop my attempt to hide and turn slowly to face Marianne, Christopher's cousin, known for her sharp tongue hidden by sweetness. Just like always, she approaches with a smile that, although it seems warm, barely hides her true intentions. What a pleasure to see you so happy. Dressed for the role of the lovely wife, aren't you? Marianne begins, her voice dripping with sarcasm. You really got what you wanted, trapping Christopher with your, oh, how should I put it? Your unique charms. Marianne pauses, studying me carefully, judging whether I am fit for the position I currently hold. The wife of the future Earl of Houghton is a title many envy, and not just because of power. I hope you're not believing in the rumors flying thr. Oof, the corridors. You know, she whispers, almost like revealing a secret, about Christopher's heart belonging to another. I blink, watching her act. But of course, they must just be whispers of jealousy. Because who else but a woman of questionable determination would do such a thing to steal another's man? I take a deep breath, keeping my cool. The old Charlotte might have fallen for this bait, but not anymore. I am no longer a girl Marianne can shake. Yes, Marianne, weddings do cause all kinds of talk, don't they? I hope you're enjoying the party as much as you enjoy spreading those rumors. She laughs, a sound that's clear and calculated. Oh, I am entertained, of course. It's always interesting to see how some manage to climb so unexpectedly. You fit into this role so well that we might almost forget where you came from and how you got here. But, as people say, nice clothes do wonders, don't they? Marianne's insinuation is clear, every word is a poisoned arrow testing my patience. She looks at me for a long moment, expecting me to react as I once would, to shout and throw a tantrum like the immature girl I used to be. But after years of dealing with Evelyn, those petty words can't affect me. Things change, Marianne, and we all grow. Some, I hope, for the better, I just say, my voice steady. And I hope you find the happiness you're desperately searching for, Charlotte. It would be a huge tragedy to put in so much effort and end up unsatisfied. Thank you for your concern, but happiness is a journey we all walk alone, don't you agree? Now, if you'll excuse me, there are other guests I'd like to greet. With one last sharp look, Marianne turns away, leaving behind a trail of tense words. And in the silence after she leaves, I sigh and run my hand through my loose brown waves. My eyes slowly sweep over the guests, only noticing someone else has approached when a sweet, soft male voice speaks up behind me. Marianne can be tough at times. Can't she? I offer a warm smile as I realize Sebastian has come close, interrupting my distant thoughts. He holds a glass of champagne, extending it to me with a bright smile that tries to ease the tension in my shoulders. I believe a strong personality runs in the family, I joke, accepting the glass and giving him a slight nod. You know, I think you're right. I can't stand these Houghtons. Sebastian's smile widens, and I let out a genuine laugh for the first time since returning to the past, which makes Sebastian's eyes soften. How are you feeling, Latte? He asks, looking at my face carefully, pausing at my lips for just a few seconds before meeting my eyes again. I'm fine, thank you. I try to hide any sign of discomfort, but Sebastian knows me better than most. He gazes at me thoughtfully, his eyes still trying to understand my thoughts. Please don't lie to me. You seem sad. Sebastian's voice is low, and only the two of us can hear. Did something happen? I hold his eyes, noticing the sincere concern in his brown eyes, and for a moment, I let only the soft sound of background music fill the space between us. Nothing happened, I whisper, lowering my eyes to my feet. But he steps closer, closing the gap between us. Charlotte. I look up again. Are you happy? Sebastian's question catches me off guard, bringing back memories I thought I had erased from my mind. He had asked me the same question once before, in my first life, while I was putting my clothes back on. At that time, I told the truth. How could I be happy when I couldn't earn my husband's love? When I lost my son, I couldn't have children anymore. How could I? I know my answer hurt him, but Sebastian always knew I wouldn't love him back. I used him, and he used me as well. But when my attempt at revenge and desperate effort to get Christopher's attention failed miserably, I pushed him away as if all our years of friendship and childhood memories didn't matter. I was always ready to sacrifice everything for Christopher. Now, Sebastian is asking me the same question, but instead of a room that smells of sex, sin, and betrayal, we're in the garden where the second day of my wedding celebration is happening. I give him a genuine smile, something warm spreading through my chest. Yes, I am happy. After all, how many people get the chance to go back to a crucial moment in their lives? I have a new opportunity now. I can fix all my mistakes and do things right. Second chances aren't given to everyone, and I am truly thankful to God for allowing me to have my child this time. And for him, for my Henry, I will face anything, even if I have to go through hell again. Are you sure? Sebastian tilts his head cautiously. You know you can count on me, Latte. We've always been together, haven't we? You're worrying over nothing. I'm fine, can't you see? I didn't even fall for your cousin's digs. Sebastian's gentle laugh echoes in my ears, easing the tension that was about to build in my shoulders. That just worries me more. He scratches his nape, looking at me with amusement. What will I do for entertainment now, without your fights with Marianne? This mansion will be boring if you become too serious. Just go back to being my usual Latte, so I'll worry less. Well, she's still coming after me. Maybe you'll be entertained by Marianne's frustration in no longer being able to get under my skin while Christopher and I are not leaving the mansion. Sebastian's eyebrows furrow, his face growing serious. I can almost smell the jealousy mixed with his fresh cologne. You know, Latte, he pauses, considering whether to say words that will probably change the entire dynamic of our relationship. Up until now, no boundaries have been crossed, but oddly enough, Sebastian appears ready to confess his feelings earlier than before. Do you think this was a good idea? What? I try to sound as calm and composed as possible, but my nervousness shows in my voice tremors and even in my stiffened body. This marriage, Sebastian's honesty surprises me, even though I was expecting comments like this. Do you really think this was a good idea? Sebastian gently holds my hand, a gesture that normally offers comfort, but this time it feels heavy. There are many eyes on us, even though he seems not to care. I've been thinking. Christopher doesn't deserve you, Latte. You know that. He's not by your side the way you need, don't. I softly cut him, pulling back from his touch. The words, even though spoken with the best intentions, make me feel a wave of discomfort, and I feel the desperate urge to create distance between us. Don't do this, Seb. But I've always, Sebastian, I say more firmly, locking eyes with him with a confidence and seriousness that catches him off guard. I appreciate your concern and your friendship, really, but my relationship with my husband is only our concern. He presses his lips together and looks down, frustrated. Christopher and I are okay. We'll make this work, so please don't worry about me. Really, make it work? Sebastian offers a bitter, sarcastic smile, and his jealous eyes make me more uneasy. And where is he now, Latte, your husband? Here. Christopher's unexpected voice interrupts our conversation, making me look at him in surprise, as he adds, standing by my side, her husband is here. Contrary to the black suit he had on our wedding, he's wearing an elegant white suit this time, a sharp contrast that makes my surprise turn into annoyance. Sebastian, who had been relaxed, stiffened when he saw his brother, his eyes narrowing slightly and sharpening. Chris, I didn't expect you to come here today. I didn't expect Christopher to come either. In our first life together, he only attended the ceremony and the party afterward, leaving me to endure today alone, under pitying glances. I don't know what made you think brother. Christopher gives him a cold smile. This is the second day of my marriage celebration. Of course I'd come. Great, here we go again. You're right, sometimes I forget how much you care about appearances. At least, you used to. Lately, though, you don't seem that worried about tarnishing your reputation, Sebastian retorts, his tone full of sarcasm. But I'm glad to see you're back to your old, boring self. Finally dressed in white. It almost makes me forget last night. Decided that black isn't your color anymore? I care about the family traditions. I'm the future Earl, after all, Christopher says calmly, hitting Sebastian's nerves. He looks around, smiling at people who are watching us. I'm not like you, who rarely takes family matters seriously. Not all of us need to worry about appearances. Sebastian shrugs, pleased with his sharp reply that makes Christopher's shoulders tense. Some of us are genuine enough. I call that an inability to commit to things. Christopher snaps back with an expressionless face and imposing posture, but he stiffens when he notices Sebastian turning toward me. I am committed. Seb looks at me. But to what really matters? Christopher's eyebrows slowly lowered, giving an unusual seriousness to his typically blank and disinterested face. You should focus on proper etiquette instead of wishing for what belongs to others. Envy is not a noble virtue. Christopher's words have a tone of reprimand and accusation that mixes irritation, although he always appears unshakable on the outside. It's not a matter of envy when the other person doesn't take good care of things. Be careful, brother. You never know when you might lose them. The tension between the brothers is obvious, so much so that I feel overwhelmed again, and even people around us begin to whisper, their curious eyes openly on us. I take a sip of my champagne, looking for a way to handle the rising pressure and moisten my dry mouth. I take very good care of what belongs to me. Christopher smiles coldly. There's no need for your concern, Sebastian. Really? Funny, Chris, it seems you've been a bit distracted lately, Sebastian says, also smiling, pleased to have hit his brother's nerve, so much so that even I, quietly watching this scene, hold my breath. Christopher purses his lips, clearly annoyed by the hint, but I've never seen him react to taunts like this. It seems that this new life of mine is full of surprises. With the now empty champagne glass in hand, I position myself between the two men, but turn my body slightly toward my husband, gently touching Christopher's chest, feeling the soft fabric of his suit and the steady beat of his heart beneath my hand. The physical contact seems to surprise him, because he looks down, eyes reflecting all the doubts in his mind, one eyebrow arching. Honey, my voice is low and soft, my fingers slowly sliding down, brushing against the buttons on his vest. The taste of such a sweet nickname makes me want to throw up, but I need to keep up appearances for now. Grandpa is waiting for us. Shouldn't we go pay our respects now that you've finally arrived? The gesture relaxes Christopher, his face softening as he almost melts under my touch. He glances at Sebastian, who now shows a hint of obvious jealousy in his expression. Of course, Christopher says after a brief pause, his voice regaining a more controlled tone. Sorry, brother, we need to attend to the other guests as well. His hand glides over my body's curves, and even though it's through the thin fabric of the dress, I still feel warmth directly on my skin, making my heart jump into my throat. See you later, maybe. Christopher keeps his hand steady on my waist and gently pulls me closer, making me swallow a surprised squeak and force a smile, also holding on to his waist. I pinch him discreetly but firmly as a protest, but he doesn't even flinch. Let's go, love. Stop. He kisses, the top of my hair, spreading a cold shiver down my spine. He kissed my hair? In front of everyone? Christopher slips his hand to my lower back and guides me away from Sebastian, with a touch that feels nearly possessive. With my best smile, I hand my empty glass to a passing server, still feeling Christopher's touch so close to my butt. I can also sense Sebastian's gaze burning into our backs, his frustration evident, and I'm sure Christopher can feel it too, but he just guides me through the lit path between the rows of white flowers. Christopher, honey, I ask through clenched teeth, low and sarcastic, making sure only he can hear. What the hell was that? I could ask you the same, love, my husband retorts softly, giving a gentle smile to one of the guests, but his eyes are still cold. You know how your interaction with Sebastian looks to others? Like childhood friends that we are? I pretend to be unaware of what his words imply, offering polite smiles to people passing by us. Christopher stops and holds me, his hand soothing the dress before gripping my waist and pulling me closer. Aren't you worried about people spreading rumors about you and my brother? I place my hands on his chest and look deeply into his eyes, which, like mine, show no passion or intimacy despite how close we are. There's nothing between Sebastian and me, so there's no reason to worry about rumors. It's not what it looks like, Christopher says, still through his teeth. And since when do you care? I retort, and he tightens his grip on my waist, just like he did yesterday, when he was losing control. You are my wife now. If you wanted this marriage so much, then act like it. Christopher forces a smile when he notices one of his friends or coworkers. I don't care. And what about you, huh? I narrow my eyes, sharp as a knife. Do you plan to honor your duty as a husband, Christopher? Or is that something that only applies to me? Huh. I see. So, This is yet another one of your games, Charlotte? My question really bothered him. I can see it in Christopher's narrow eyes, the way he's still holding me steadily, trying to stop me from escaping. Games? I tilt my head slightly, a scornful smile forming at the corner of my lips. You give yourself too much credit, husband. Christopher's eyebrows lower again. My world doesn't revolve around you, and I certainly wouldn't waste my precious time with schemes. I retort, now holding on to his baby blue tie, toying with the fabric. Besides, you're the one who likes playing games. He tries to hide his frustration behind a forced smile, his whole attention on the way my fingers brush against the fabric. Really? I'd say you have a natural talent for this. Christopher's voice is soft but tinged with bitterness at the edges. Your moves were really impressive. You think? Thank you. That's because I know how to control myself. I step closer, still holding his tie, my breath mingling with his. Unlike some. Christopher presses his lips together, trying to hold his composure, but I can see through his facade. After yesterday, he can no longer fully hide behind his mask of indifference. I was caught off guard yesterday, he says with a bitter smirk. After all, you kept your game hidden until now. Are you being a sore loser now, Christopher? I tug on his tie, tightening the collar, and look up at him. You lost. I did, he admits, his voice low and controlled. But don't get used to it. Next time will be different. Next time? Christopher, do you really think there will be a next time? I laugh softly, causing his eyes to narrow slightly. You'll never touch me again. At least, not for the next 4 months. I release the tie but don't back away, allowing a mocking smile to form on my lips, very satisfied with the slight bother that darkens his eyes, even though he tries to hide it. Christopher grips my waist and brings his face close to mine, making me hold my breath at the sudden proximity. I glance around, noticing that a few people are still watching us closely, including Sebastian. So, my husband is putting on a show now, huh? He moves his lips to my ear, letting his hot breath brush against it, sending a shiver through my body. We both know this is just the start, Charlotte, Christopher murmurs, his voice a rough whisper. And in the end, you'll be the one who breaks, who begs to be properly fucked. My eyes widen slightly, and I feel my cheeks burn. How can Christopher say something so shameless in public? I'm not sure what makes my heart race more, his challenge, his audacity, or the idea that yesterday's terrible mistake could happen again. Even so, I force my best smile and keep my composure. Good luck with that, honey. Christopher opens his lips to retort, but Grandpa Marshall's approach eases the tension between us. He gives me a warm smile, but looks much more serious and cold when he meets my husband's eyes. Charlotte, my dear, it's always a pleasure to see you shine. It's not an exaggeration to say you're the sun around us, Grandpa Marshall says, his voice thick with genuine affection, but somehow, still for the others to hear. The older man touches my face gently, just as he has done since he adopted me, while an open and welcoming smile. But when Grandpa's eyes turn to Christopher, his expression subtly stiffens. It's good to see you two so close. Despite Marshall's words, his tone doesn't hide his suspicion and coldness. And I'm pleased that you're finally dressed appropriately, Christopher, though punctuality isn't your strong suit. That's something to worry about. As my heir, you should watch the clock. Time is precious, you can't waste it, after all, it can't be recovered. Grandpa's words sound threatening, and they give me a bad feeling that creeps through my chest. I know better than anyone the consequences of lost time, but against all odds, I've been given the chance to fix my mistakes. Something happened, Christopher says, stiffening slightly under Grandpa's stern eyes. Don't make excuses. As the future Earl, I expect you to be worthy and respectful of the position you will inherit. Behave properly, and don't be late again, Christopher. You're not only embarrassing the family but also your wife, and of course, you don't want to bring shame on any of us, do you? Of course not. Despite the dry tone, I can sense sincerity in this brief response. Great. It would be a shame if you turned out to be a disappointment. It's thanks to the Sinclair that we're all here today. I'd expect you to show not just obedience as the future Earl but also gratitude. Charlotte is a remarkable woman, and you do well to recognize the luck you have. Christopher looks at me coldly, eyes full of resentment. The hand on my waist hesitates, sliding slowly to my hip. Yes, I am a lucky man, he repeats these hollow words, returning to his usual blank expression with stiff posture. I am aware of the responsibilities and the debt we owe the Sinclairs. And, of course, I'm grateful to Charlotte for her partnership. A pang of guilt hits my chest as I study Christopher's face, so serious and sad that it almost seems to detach from him. His eyes are slightly narrowed, and his teeth are clenched so tightly that the muscles in his jaw jump over the stubble. "Don't be so hard on him, Grandpa," I say in my sweetest, softest tone, trying to ease the tension, touching Christopher's chest again and moving closer, our bodies pressing together, and for some reason, his body relaxed again. "We're finally starting to understand each other, aren't we, honey?" Christopher raises an eyebrow, surprised by my boldness in repeating the pet name that surely sends chills through his body. Still, to maintain his composure, he wraps his arm around my lower back and pulls me closer, causing my breasts to press against his firm chest. His woody scent fills my nostrils, and I hold my breath to avoid overwhelming myself. "Of course, love. I couldn't be happier." He almost chokes on those words, and I nearly crack a laugh. Grandpa Marshall looks at me with a gleam of tenderness in his eyes as he hears my words. "That's good to hear, sweetheart. I'm glad things are going well between you." He pauses, his gaze softening slightly before turning back to Christopher, stern again. "I hope you continue to prove yourself worthy of this commitment." "Yes, my lord." "Well, I'll leave you alone. Remember to greet the guests who came just to wish you congratulations on your marriage, Christopher." With a final nod, Grandpa Marshall says goodbye, leaving us with a silence that sounds louder than his words. Christopher lets out a barely audible sigh, clearly relieved that his grandfather has left, but he doesn't let go. He keeps holding me close, almost possessively. However, there's an unspoken tension between us now, a raw, suffocating sensation that hovers between resentment and something else, ready to snap. "Charlotte," always the Earl's favorite, Christopher's eyes linger on mine with a challenging gaze. "Don't expect me to thank you for keeping the appearances you made." My hand brushes the fabric of his suit, gliding softly over the material, smoothing an unseen crease, an action that suggests intimacy to curious eyes. "You don't need to thank me, Christopher. Isn't that what wives are for?" I pause, nibbling my lip. "Besides, we're both playing the roles we need to, nothing else. You should be an actress." He pulls me even closer, a hand subtly placed on my waist, fully closing the gap between us. "Even though you said so firmly last night that you don't want to be my wife, you played that position extremely well." Of course, I'd been playing the Countess character, the pathetic Mrs. Houghton, for 10 years. "I'll consider that," I say with a sarcastic smile, tightening my expression. After my current acting ends, Christopher's expression hardens, and in an instant, he becomes completely different from who he was before Grandpa arrived. He's building walls between us again, looking at me as if I were a stranger, even though we almost burned together. "You're really enjoying this, aren't you? Walking around as the heir's wife?" "Of course, I am," I retort sarcastically, pretending to adjust the tie knot. "What about you? Do you enjoy playing the role of a caring husband?" He smiles, a smile that hides more than it reveals, and his hand quietly moves to the curve of my hip, and the closeness sends a shiver down my spine. "You got what you wanted. You pushed for this marriage, and here you are, still pretending you never wanted any of it." He tilts his head, making my breath grow hotter as it mingles with Christopher's. "Who would have thought the Earl's darling would be such a sly fox?" "Oh, please. You changed your mind pretty quickly yesterday as well, for someone who openly showed hatred for me." "Hatred?" Christopher echoes it with real confusion, but that only makes me smirk sarcastically. "What makes you think I hate you?" I arch an eyebrow, letting my lips curl into an expression somewhere between amusement and disdain. "Let's see, maybe it's how you can barely stand to look at me unless someone's watching? Or is it the fact that you tried so hard not to marry me?" Christopher's eyes darken, and the hand on my hip tightens just enough for me to feel the warning in it. "Please, stop. You don't need to try so hard for me." I sigh sharply, nudging him lightly in the chest, but he doesn't react at all or step away. "And you definitely don't need to pretend you care now. You know what they say, Charlotte?" His lips twitch, caught somewhere between a sneer and a smile, but his gaze remains fixed on mine. "When you're in hell, dance with the devil." "I'm the devil in your eyes?" I ask with a sarcastic laugh, tilting my head. "Most likely the little devil on my shoulder, whispering, tempting me." I let out a dry, humorless chuckle. "Careful, Christopher. I might think you actually enjoy my company." "Enjoy," he murmurs, his thumb moves in the tiniest circles against my hip, an almost unnoticeable gesture, but enough to make my breath catch. "Hardly. But I can't seem to stay away either. Perhaps your little, wicked tricks are working, after all." "That easy?" I meet his gaze directly, refusing to let him see me flinch. "I didn't even try that hard. They say the devil is a master of illusion." He tightens his grip on my waist and pulls my body even closer, pressing me against him. His gaze drops to my body for a moment before returning to my eyes. If you're not the devil, then you're a great competitor. Yesterday proved it. You flatter me. I'm trying to find out who you really are, Charlotte. Christopher's gaze flickers with something dangerous, challenge, maybe even desire, but it's gone before I can name it. What's the real you? Why do you care? My question comes out as almost a resentful sigh. I'm not a threat, Christopher, even if you see me as one. I don't trust you. Christopher's expression stiffens, suspicion clear in his eyes. I've made that clear. As long as this marriage lasts, I'll be on your side, I say, meeting his gaze. But don't mistake it. I don't do this for happiness, I do it out of necessity. Necessity? He frowns. It doesn't matter, I shrug off with a cold, challenging smile, pulling back just enough to breathe. Just keep acting like always, or not, whatever. I just need this marriage for now, Christopher, but I don't need you as a husband. Yes, that's right. Keep your distance, just like you did in our past life. I only need you to make that mistake again in 4 months. Don't try to be a nice guy, I don't care anymore. I just need you to come into my room drunk again, just once. Then, we're done. And why do you need this marriage so much, Charlotte, if not for my love? He insists, with a hint of a sarcastic smile that doesn't reach his eyes. I give him a long, steady look, letting the silence stretch until it's almost uncomfortable. The name, the title, the house, the fortune, I let the lie roll off my tongue, recalling the exact words Evelyn told me that day when he asked for a divorce. I want to be with the rightful Houghton's heir, not with Christopher. His jaw tightens, the flicker in his eyes shifting to something darker, something that cuts deep, but I quickly shut it down. You were never the prize, Christopher. I offer him a cold, unblinking smile. Just the path to it. Is that so? He murmurs softly, but there's nothing gentle in the way the words land, sharp, deliberate, meant to wound. You're telling me you were lying all those years? Like you said, I'm a good actress. Yes, you are. His lips press into a thin line, the muscle in his jaw ticking. Well, I hope you enjoy your prize while it lasts. With a slow yet steady push, I create space between us before it burns me. I think we've had enough for today, I say, coldly, reflecting the sudden chill in my heart. I give him one last look, a mix of challenge and contempt, then turn and walk toward the other guests, leaving him behind. Finally, it's over. My feet hurt. It's been a long time since I used high heels, and my shoulders, arg, my whole body begs for a relaxing break. The thought of sinking into a warm bath feels like the only salvation after such a long, exhausting, and infuriating day. I push open the bedroom door, and the fragile hope shatters the instant I see him there. In my room. Again. Christopher is sprawled with irritating ease on the couch, a book in hand, looking completely at home in a space that's supposed to be mine. And his calm, unwavering presence in my private sanctuary infuriates every nerve. I cross my arms, glaring at him with a hard stare, asking with a RP edge. What are you doing here?